There is so much we could talk about today in Kansas City with all the upcoming events, with the climate and all the things that are happening in Kansas City. But you know what? On April the 7th, there's a burning issue that Kansas City really wants to talk about. And today we have in the studio someone that is going to give us some clarification and some real answers. So stick with me. You're listening to Straight from the Heart. I'm your host, Kim Davis. We want to welcome today Mayor Quinton Lucas. We want to thank you, Mayor Lucas, for coming in. And before I get started, Mayor Lucas, I just want to ask you a question. How are you?
You know what? I am doing well. The thing that makes me the happiest, I have my 2 children. My oldest boy is about to turn 5 here in a few weeks.
Ooh,
He is starting to love running
Quincy
track.
is 5 already?
Yeah, I know, right?
Jesus.
I know. It feels like it was just yesterday. I know all of y'all who are parents say that, and I didn't quite believe you.
Yeah.
Because those early days, you're like, how am I going to make it through this for another 2 decades?
Right.
But no, so I'm blessed. The city's going well,
Yeah.
and it's a good time to be in Kansas City.
Yeah. So we're glad that you're here on Straight from the Heart. Straight from the Heart, as you know, is our podcast from Heartland Black Chamber. And the reason that we even developed or put together this programming was so that we could have straight from the heart conversations. So let's get started because, you know, one of the things that we never think about is how much work you have to put into being the mayor of Kansas City, of any city, but of Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City is a different type of city. And so, you know, I just want to, before we just dive into the big topic, I want to give you an opportunity to just exhale and just tell us, you know, a little bit about what Mayor Lucas is feeling today. I know you're excited about what's coming. So is there anything you want to?
You know, today I am excited. It was a busy day at City Hall for us.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on all around us, but I'm excited because we had real collaboration among a lot of our Black council members and myself about some initiatives in our city.
Good.
And I think sometimes our communities, we can have so many divisions internally.
Yeah.
And I respect us. We're all human beings, and you
Yeah.
can't expect any group to all love each other.
Absolutely.
But when we are rowing in the right direction, I think we can't be stopped. And I have to say that I love the fact that we have some great leaders around the region, Mayor Watson over in the unified government. We have folks all around who are making a difference, I think, for the Kansas City region more broadly, certainly for Black Kansas Cityans in Missouri and Kansas. But more than anything, I think that we are at a time that really allows us to make more progress than perhaps we've ever done.
Right.
And I'm just sad I don't get to be around for all of it. But I got, you know, the other day I was telling my wife, I'm like, I got a year. She's like, oh, you got like 17 months. I'm like, dang, I got some extra time because some days I'm like, all right, I'm done with these budget fights and everybody talking to you. But we got some good things going on in Kansas City that I'm excited about.
Yeah, and you have a lot to be proud of. Congratulations on the ribbon cutting.
Yes.
And then also just think about you came into a pandemic. So now, today, you know, on April the 7th, we're going to have an issue on the ballot, which is earnings tax. That's the big hot topic right now. Everybody's asking. I even get phone calls from business owners, you know, well, why should I be paying earnings tax? Or how's the earnings tax affected me as a business owner? I live in Kansas, but my business is over here. And so can you really help us have an understanding, what is earning tax? For Kansas City?
So, you know, I think the first thing that I would note is we've had the earnings tax in Kansas City since the 1960s. So this is not new. It is distinct from a lot of the other issues you've been hearing about. Property taxes in Jackson County, sales taxes that come up all the time, everywhere, tax incentives. Those are important conversations, but totally different ones. The earnings tax was initially introduced to help us pay for trash in Kansas City, something that we continue to pay for, right? It's a good benefit that we have in our city compared to others. All of y'all know we got 162,000 trash bins and recycling bins to every household in Kansas City. And so it basically pays for, and it's about $350 million a year of the basic services that Kansas City needs to keep going. Police, fire, our workers, obviously solid waste, trash.
Right.
And it is the sort of thing that is a key part of where our general revenues are. We have to vote for it every 5 years because the Missouri legislature makes us do so. I wish we didn't have to.
Right.
And so far, it has passed, I think, by about 77% in all 3 elections we've had to do. So this is more of an administrative necessity. It is not a new tax. This is a renewal. And this is a renewal that's important to making sure. And I hear from y'all all the time, right? If you think the roads are raggedy, right? If you think people need to get paid more, getting rid of this will create a huge gap and will make things even worse. And so that's why we're saying it's important to make sure we let people know that they can get out to vote. And this is core to how we have basic services.
And I kind of think because of the property tax issue in Jackson County and how long that was an issue within the news, you say tax and we automatically, lose our mind. I can say that I understand how important it is to have your trash removed without a cost, because I live in a community where we pay for the removal of trash, and so that is a benefit that I don't think people really understand how important it is. Again, you talked about the repairing of our streets. All those things cannot take place without us. So, in other words, we've been paying these taxes all along anyway. And the only thing that's happening right now is kind of got lost in the sauce, and we have to remind people of, why they pay them. So the big question is there going to be a big increase?
No, not at all. No increase. Is going to be exactly the same it's always been, right? It is one of the simpler taxes that exists. It's 1%. It has always been 1%. Actually, it started, I think, 0.5% back in the 60s, been 1% for longer than I've been alive and most of us. And I think that the reason that we've been able to really have growth in our city is because we are a city that walks and chews gum. The big things are cool, right? And we love having major events. That creates business opportunity for a lot of, I know, your clients, and certainly for many in our community, members rather, I should say. But I think that what we also need to do is make sure we're taking care of the basics. You can't have a World Cup and not pick up the trash.
Come on.
You can't have a brand new airport and have raggedy roads on the way to it, right?
Yeah.
And so this is why we're making sure we do this. And I will say this. I grew up a child of a government worker. My mom worked for the state of Missouri. We need to take care of our employees too.
Yes.
And my biggest concern is if we lose this resource, a whole lot of hardworking people, hardworking moms and dads, aunties and uncles and others who are taking care of their families in Kansas City may find themselves wondering, how can I get by? How can I afford housing? How can I do everything I need to do? And so this allows us to do this and I think keep our city booming.
Yeah. Well, and I, as I mentioned earlier, I had a lot of my businesses calling me, and some of the critics say that the e-tax is unfair or it hurts business. I had a small business at our quarterly State of the Chamber. I have a State of the Chamber like you have a State of the City. State of the Chamber report, and she was talking about how the e-tax, she didn't understand it, how it affected her small business, and it was just a whole lot going on in there. What is your message to small and especially Black-owned businesses that feel the squeeze of e-taxes or any tax, I guess?
I think what I would say is this, and look, I understand the challenge to businesses because every single dollar matters. But let me just say this. If your customers don't feel safe coming to where you are, if every bit of infrastructure around you has collapsed or decayed, if you can't actually have good fire protection and you're paying higher insurance, which I only have learned recently because a lot of Kansas City's on the edges, and I'll hear from people who say, we need a new fire station here, or we need this and that. I mean, those are real cost differences long term. And so I think that what you would end up seeing is actually almost an invisible tax of all of the different things that you would need just to have basic city service delivery. So that's the one thing I say. There's another. Some people say, well, this tax doesn't exist in every city, so why do y'all need it? And when I look at the number, and we're proud to have it, the number of people who come from outside the community every day and work in Kansas City and use resources, and I love them, but are going to rely on our fire department, our police department, who are coming to the convention center, who want to go to a show at the music hall, who are hitting up T-Mobile Center. We are blessed to have it, and I know you pay for that too, but this is a thing that allows us to make sure we have the infrastructure that befits a world-class city. And so we need to make sure that we are doing both and.
Yeah.
And so those are probably my key steps. But, I don't want to get into a parade of horribles, but if this goes away, then you aren't talking about increased sales taxes that really hits our working class and poor population.
Yeah.
You are talking about property tax increases, which nobody wants.
Right.
We don't want to live in that sort of world. And I think this has been a good balance for how we can do it.
I think you're right. Is there a department or an office within the city that the small businesses can contact for help, for better understanding? Because I think it's just a matter of having a conversation. Is there any that you would?
Of course. I've been proud of her. Nia Richardson, Nia Webster. She does outstanding work. She gives me trouble all the time, but I ain't going to talk now.
Okay, you're talking about my family.
Oh, my goodness. So you about to give me trouble. Now, I was just actually in her office, I want to say about 2 days ago. The amount of work they are doing to support Kansas City businesses in every step of the way. And here's one bit of advice for people. Never be scared to call.
Right.
Because some people think, my problem's narrow or nobody else has it. You'd be surprised how many people do.
Yeah.
Or even, frankly, a lot of the times, and I know you know this, we have resources in government that almost nobody applies for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I would say is if you are interested in starting a business in Kansas City, even if it is just an idea, call us.
Yeah.
Ask for Nia. Yeah. Make sure that you're talking to the city because we really do want to make sure our new businesses grow because that's where growth is long term. Yeah. And I respect everybody and I appreciate every business, no matter how big. But when you talk about it and we see the numbers, where we're getting, a lot of new business startups, where the jobs of the future are, all of that, it is not like it was when we were all younger where Lake City Ammunition Plant employed 8,000 people.
Yes.
They employ 0 now. So what does that mean for us? This means that we have a lot of work to do in growing jobs, and that's the sort of thing we're working on.
Absolutely. And I will say that Nia Webster is a great ally and a great partner of the chamber. She has been a great partner for the city for us. So yes, we know we always promote, call Nia.
Right.
So I want to pivot a little bit because I know we've talked about e-taxes, but there's another big issue that you've made comments on, and I'm also very much on your side when it comes to the redistricting, the gerrymandering of maps in the state of Missouri. It is, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so, being a part of the state of Missouri and even knowing our congressman for as long as I've known him, I'm not looking at it as being a direct attack on him, but a direct attack on our community and the people that he serves. Talk to me about, what are your feelings and how?
Right. I think he would say the same thing, and I love how you put it. It is not a direct attack on Emmanuel Cleaver. It is a direct attack on us, all of us in our community. And let me be real and eminently nonpartisan.
Yes.
To me, it is less about the politics and more about who's going to show up to do the work for Kansas City. And for 22, 24 years now, and he was mayor before that, but we have been blessed to have a congressman who shows up at local events, who I think more than anything knows he works for Kansas City.
Yes.
There are some who get to Washington, they grandstand, they get themselves on TV all the time. That's what they do.
Yeah.
He has instead, and I called him probably 3 days ago. Almost always.
Always.
And I'm like, how do you have to? I feel bad when I'm calling.
Yeah.
And he is just there.
Yeah.
He will make sure the work's getting done. He has a staff that is attuned to what our interests and needs are. And I'm not talking bad about anybody else. I just know that we are blessed to have somebody who is great and who cares about us.
Absolutely.
That is one thing that's important. The second thing that I don't like about this is how they look to divide a Kansas City that already works hard to bridge divides.
Yes.
We already know we have a truce divide. We have a state line. We got a river. We have all those sorts of things. Why would you create this new kind of fractured map that tries to split different demographics and different types of people if you care about Kansas City having a voice?
Yes.
I get politics. I'm a big kid. But the thing about him is I don't think anyone in Washington would say that there's a more decent person who's serving in Washington today.
Yes.
I don't think anybody in Washington can it say that there's anyone who cares more about their district than he does. I have worked with a lot of federal electeds over now I've been around for a little while.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of them. I think that this is incredibly unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think it's disappointing. I think it's wrong. And that's why I'm going to stay committed to making sure we fight these maps as much as we can. I mean, even the space that we are blessed to be in now was a recognition of how by state, across ethnic groups, we need to come together to do better for the future of our community. I would hate for us to lose a voice that understands that.
Absolutely. It's the same. I feel the same way. Congressman Cleaver, he was revved to me when I was in elementary school. and he is, I have a hard time remembering that to call him Congressman because Rev has always been. But to be quite honest, and this is not a partisan, this is honestly who he is and who he has been. And this is not to put any other official down. In my adult life, he has served and continued to serve across the board. And he has never had his service has not been according to race or community or culture. It has been Kansas City and making Kansas City the best that it can be.
Yep.
But I also, I think that he has also opened up the door for mayors like yourself to come in and to continue to move the light. So I'm really happy to hear that you are committed to doing the work as we are too. I am, as a chamber leader, also committed and we'll stand with this fight all the way to the bitter end.
That's exactly right. And it's essential. And I'll just say this, and I know you got other questions, but you are right that what he was able to do in this city, it is not enough just to be first. It is important that you show that we can lead competently.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other cities that have had Black first or female first, Latino first, what have you. And everybody said, oh, that was a mess. And, we have to change for this, that, and the other reason. Everybody, when I was running for mayor, I had the unusual blessing, not to deal with like anybody saying you can't do this, not to have anybody say we can't have Black leaders do these sorts of things. And that to me is a huge difference maker long term.
It is. It truly is. And, being the mayor, it's a serious job as it is.
Yeah.
But really, what can you do at the state level? And then is there anything that we can do to support what you're doing and, be a champion or a partner or whatever it is to continue that move? Because the one thing I do know is we're better together and stronger together than we are apart. And when we push our leaders out there by themselves and expect them to work miracles, shame on us.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, I think unity where we can is very important. I mean, I'll tell you a little story because this is a good show and people want it. Early in my mayoral term, and every now and then, if you get your community and different parts of your community that may have some issues with something you've done, part of being in public service.
Yeah.
News media put a bunch of cameras, microphones in my face, and they said, "What do you have to say about the Urban League? What do you have to say about them saying this about you?" And I said, "I got nothing to say. Look, I have my position, they have theirs. But what you are not going to get from me is us fighting. And creating a show for everybody else." And so what I often say for the community is, we still are coming from the same core place.
Yes.
We may sometimes have a difference of opinion as to how you get there, but remember that unity that we need as we are fighting the real fights. Because, when I go to Jefferson City, they ain't worried about,
what's going on up here and what
they're
y'all
not worried
feel about
that.
each other.
We need to be able to say, look, Kansas City needs this.
Yes.
Full stop.
Yeah.
That is what we need.
Yes, absolutely.
And we need to, and getting past the turf wars sometime and all of that, that's how I think we get things done. I saw Mayor Watson right after the Chiefs announcement thing. She looked at me like, "Oh, y'all all right?" I'm like, look, everybody can have their viewpoint, but every day we going to work for the same people.
That's right.
By and large.
That's right.
Same communities, some of the same issues, some of the same talents and opportunities. Yes. And so if there is somebody who can do well in the northeast of Wyandotte County because they got a good education, there's a good job network here and all of that, that's somebody who does well in Kansas City, Missouri.
That's right.
And that is kind of what I want us to do more often and to realize we got all that together. Like it's kind of like your family, right? Yeah. The siblings, y'all gonna fight when you're at home.
When you're at home.
Right.
But
when you get out, that's exactly exactly right. You get out the house, y'all family.
That's right.
And that's what I think we'll keep doing as a community.
Yeah, I can relate to that, as the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce. I get a lot. And my answer is always this. What's the difference in all the others?
Mm-hmm.
We're all on the same mission, and there's room for us all. And so, yes, I love the way that you handle that.
Yeah.
But I do want you to know, and this is just off the record or on the record, because we're gonna put this out there. We support you. And we will, whatever you need us to do, especially in this mission, we need to all get down there and go down to Jeff City and caravan down there. Let's go.
I love it. I love it because I will say this. This is we can never get in the point of being defeated.
That's right.
Defeated by today's rhetoric, defeated by today's politicians. I was a student of history growing up, and we all know our history.
Yes.
And sometimes when I'm like, man, this is crazy or radical or leaving people behind, I think about what the ancestors addressed.
We get ready to get down to business.
What people did 2 generations. I mean, how am I going to sit here, and I ain't going to get too political, but say this is the worst thing ever? No, there are people who did some real stuff in this city, still alive today, who made sure that we could vote, that we could be in these positions, that we could have these businesses, that we could go around this city. Yeah. So I ain't going to be defeated. I'm not just going to be like, it's the worst time ever. Instead, I'm going to be like, how can I learn from the past? How can I learn from others? How can we build the coalition we need to make sure we're standing up for our community?
And how can we not pick up the mantle and keep it going? We can talk about our ancestors and those before us that died, but are we willing to do the same? Are we willing to pick it up and keep it going? Or are we going to sit down and just talk about, well, somebody died for us.
Exactly.
But who are you going to die for? Right. Are you going to die for your children or your grandchildren? So this is, that's like near and dear to my heart. That's you like preaching my sermon. But, so let's kind of talk about some other hot topics that people like to throw up there. And before we do that, though, I want to get light, though. You do have a serious job, but you have a family, too.
Yeah.
And what grounds you?
The other day, and I grew up running track, and every now and then,
like a track.
Hey, I loved it, and every now and then I want to get back to it. I can't, and I'm not even gonna lie. Y'all can mock me. I can't ball for nobody's business. So I was out running the track. Basketball, I'm just throwing it up, bricking everywhere. But I took my son to the track at Central High School. It's closest high school to me. And he's only 5. But, he's kind of staying in the lane, having fun, testing it out, and seeing him and trying to get him into that, that's what grounds me. Lets me be a dad, lets me spend some real time with him. And I think for all of us who are blessed with children, and frankly, nieces, nephews, friends, godchildren, what have you, I don't think that there is a more grounding, greater blessing. They ain't worried about today's drama.
No.
They don't.
Yep.
They barely know I'm the mayor, right? Don't care if I am, right? Instead, it is, just people that you have the chance to put so much love and energy into. And that grounds me. That's why, and I'm not unique with the mayors on this. I love getting to schools. I love talking to young people. And it was funny. I did this thing for Latino students over in KCK. And everybody like, thank you so much for coming. And why'd you make it? I said, because I love seeing the future.
Yeah. But that's evident in everything you do. I've seen you run through water, jump in pools, fully dressed. I've seen you run track. I've seen you do sack races.
Yeah.
So that is evident.
It's what it's all about. Because if you can't love the people, people talk about loving the job. I don't know about the job. I love the people.
Yeah.
I love the people of our community. And that is the greatest blessing for me each day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. So I'm going to kind of switch gears again. One of the big issues in Kansas City, we've got a World Cup coming, and public safety. We do have a public safety issue. And again, that's another space that in my talking to people in community, you cannot put all of our public safety issues on our police department, on poor mayor, on the mayor, or even on our prosecutor. You cannot, if we're not willing to do our part. In growing up in our community, when I grew up, and I grew up long before you did, but in my community, you would get a whooping by the neighbor.
That's right.
You would get snatched up by the lady around the corner. Everybody in the community that was an adult had the right to chastise you, or to, when you got sent home to your parents, you were going to pay the cost. In this society, we're afraid to even pick up the phone and call the police, even knowing that we have an anonymous tip hotline. How do we become better about this public safety within our own community? I mean, and this is now no longer a urban issue.
Yeah.
This is a across the metropolitan area issue. What do we need to do?
I mean, I think there are a few things, and I appreciate your recognition that, yeah, it's not just the mayor, it's not just the police, it's not just like this one entity, the prosecutor, where if tomorrow, they waved a magic wand, it'd all be gone. I think the first thing we need to do is realize that you have to invest in people.
Yes.
The way that you can prevent violent crime is by letting people know that there is value in them and what they can do and what they can be. So that's why we spend time and money talking about, hey, how can we get you this set of jobs and opportunities? How can we get you the health care you might need? And you might need mental health care, and destigmatizing that. I know your group has helped do that over the years, and I appreciate that. Great.
Absolutely.
I was at a Black men's health function, been a minute, over at Swope Health Services, and I just loved it because it was men, brothers, just kind of talking about, yeah, we need to get checked for this. You need to talk to somebody if you need to. I mean, all of those steps start to make a difference because you recognize that lack of opportunity, lack of healthcare, lack of somebody to talk to, lack of respect for you leads people to be like, well, my life ain't worth nothing.
Right.
And if my life ain't worth nothing, then I'll fight you about who knows what.
Yeah.
And so, that's where we are interested and excited about building more long term. It doesn't mean we don't still have policing. It doesn't mean we don't have enforcement day in and day out. But what it does mean to me is that we're going to keep, our focus on both and on making sure, you can do that enforcement side, but you're also trying to lift up people long term.
Yeah. So with the World Cup coming.
Oh, yeah.
We're adding new technology. We're adding officers. And I mean, this is especially a big event that I don't think none of us really have still grasped. And we're getting closer to 60 days out. I keep looking at, okay, sooner we're getting ready to be like 60 days out from this big event happening and our airports being flooded and our streets being flooded. How do you balance more security with fears of over policing in the Black communities than to making sure that,
I think that's a really interesting question. I do believe, even though we will have a high number of law enforcement officials and many from other cities that are coming to help us out, including even large cities, and I know we'll hear more about that soon, it's making sure that people have a directive and a mission. And that directive and mission is to make sure places like FanFest, Arrowhead Stadium, some of our places where people congregate, are truly safe. What you can't just do is say, here you go, 3,000 cops. We ain't going to give y'all any direction, anything to do, and arrest a certain number of people, right?
I won't even call it, but, the water's cold.
Right, exactly. And so, I think that we are doing a good job on that.
Yeah.
I think it is also making sure that, we're culturally competent in what it is that we're trying to do. I think our police department has made strides since 2020 in making sure that you're listening to the community more, you're talking to the community more. This is where I'll give the police chief credit. She may disagree as a policy perspective with a number of people, but I remember she was going to some meeting. I'm like, you don't have to go. And she's like, no, I'll make sure. I'm going to show my face. And I think that that's how you start to do it, because when you see other people as human beings, it's amazing how the respect starts to follow. And I think that's what we're going to make sure we do. And that's what we're going to expect of our partner agencies.
Yeah.
This is not just a time for some cowboys to come in and make some extra money by standing on our streets and busting some heads.
Yeah.
It's instead a time where we will be like, hey, these are the populations that you're going to be working with. These are the communities you'll be around. And frankly, I think we'll be adequately staffed to make sure that we can do right. A lot of our biggest mistakes, and if you look through cases on officer-involved shootings, alleged brutality, and others, is where you have an officer who's either overworked, all alone, or challenged in some other way.
Yeah.
Whereas you've
had some kind of red flag.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have collaboration, when you have people having a broader understanding, you help avoid a lot of it.
Yeah. And I will give the chief, Stacey Graves, kudos because she does show up. She is probably the very first police chief that I've seen in recent years that, I mean, I go to play and I'm like, you're here?
I know.
And so she shows up, and it's half the battle is creating those relationships in communities that don't feel like you care. So kudos to that. And I know that there was a whole lot of pushback from the community, from the budget and all of that. But I want to say to you that, choices had to be made, and they were good choices. And we can't do anything but try to keep our city safe, and especially our children.
Exactly.
Because we're losing them by
too much.
Too much. So I do want to know, if you had an extra dollar to spend on safety, would you put it into more officers, youth programs, or mental health, and why?
Youth programs, I put it in Kansas City Public Schools tomorrow, or Grandview or Center, but it doesn't matter. KCK, I would put it in our school. I put it in our public school.
Yes.
The opportunity we have when you have a young person, but particularly in the classroom, to mold them, to give them dreams, to tell them that there are great opportunities beyond what they may just know today.
Yeah.
But that's like unmatched. I feel like $1 invested in our public schools is worth like $200 on the back end.
It is.
As opposed to some of these other steps where, we just don't have that same bang for our buck.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that we have to now really face on how do we invest in our children? How do we shift from the social media, all the access to real-time issues that as a elementary school, junior high school, even high school student has no business even being concerned with. And so that is a lot. And if we could find ways to shift, I would love to be a part of that as well.
Agreed.
So World Cup 2026, this is, throw some of these, hot topic questions. So this one, is it a celebration or a headache, or is it both?
It's a celebration. Look, I think Kansas City has been very well prepared. I want to give a shout out to some special people. Pam Kramer, who helps run the organization. Jason Sims. You may not know him. Everybody in Kansas City may not know him, but he is the head of transportation. Came out of KCK, very talented, was a commissioner at KCATA before, and I think has done great work in getting people moving around. So I will give that to him. But no, I see it as a celebration, a great opportunity for Kansas City. It just means a little work before.
Okay. So there's a concern about the unhoused neighbors and getting them pushed aside for our visitors. How are we making sure that World Cup planning does not come at their expense?
Because we never stop actually looking out for our unhoused neighbors.
Yeah.
Right. Some people make a mistake of thinking we're just doing a thing for this or that or the other. Now, again, on my point before, people always matter. You can't have a 1 summer, 1 week, 2-week program as to how you work with young people, unhoused people, anything under the sun. You need to continue to invest in them long term.
Right.
And so that's the work that I think we're going to try to make sure we do to get things done.
Yeah. So one of the big issues, and I don't even want to ask you this question because I tried to tell people, and you know this, from the time we were talking about bidding on World Cup that we needed to be ready. But of course, as always, last minute, I get a lot of phone calls. And I mean, every day we get calls here about the opportunities for Black-owned businesses and not being contacted, and the World Cup's around the corner and they were vendors and all that. What is it that I can say or that we should be doing right now to even help them plug in if there is opportunity?
If you hop on the webpage today for KC 2026, I believe it's kc2026.com. If not, go ahead and search it. You will see requests for proposals, RFPs to hire people for any number of services. I happen to be on that page yesterday. And there are opportunities.
Yeah.
And so what I encourage you to do, step one, rather than lamenting the lack of them, and and you work with people and you real. No, nobody is coming to your house to be like, how can I give you money? Right. And we know that in life, right? That's not how it works.
Exactly.
But there are RFPs out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are continuing to be business development opportunities, not just with KC 2026. A lot of our suburban jurisdictions are building out apparati relating to what they'll be doing. I saw Lee Summit doing something the other day. I think in Johnson County, they're trying to do a thing. Obviously in KCMO and KCK. So I think that there are very easy ways. I'd start at kc2026.org. I would look to, kind of what's listed as business opportunities. They have a page for that. And then I would build from there.
So we're going to kind of connect the dots, put this whole show together. So when you put e-tax, new maps, public safety, and the World Cup together, what bigger story do you see about Kansas City is headed? Kansas City is headed.
Yeah, I think that what the story of us is, and this is what people aren't ready for yet, the World Cup is just the jump off, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a starting point for where we're going. The World Cup is not the end. When we were all younger, but, we all remember the 96 Olympics and Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta's always been a cool spot. You've had some things going on, but it just felt like from the mid-1990s on, you didn't stop hearing about Atlanta, right?
Right.
Every rapper was from Atlanta for a minute, right? All these things are there. You have Tyler Perry filming there. You got the film studio scene, all the big businesses, all of that. That's what Kansas City needs to be and focused on.
Yeah.
So it isn't just that like we're getting ready for a World Cup and we all go like high five each other afterwards.
Right.
It is, all right, no, that was just the first lap.
Right.
And you got a whole bunch of laps left in terms of how we actually build this community long term.
This is a lot. So for people who feel left out, the grandmother on fixed income, the young brother starting their first business, what's your word to them about their place in this city?
I think that everyone has a space in this city, and no one's lot in life is merely to struggle. You have a chance to have some agency in that. And so what I would encourage anyone to do, and we try to put the resources out there and don't stop using them. We had a few today. Go to the KC 2026 website if you want to be part of World Cup. If you got an idea, call Nia Webster in Kansas City and figure out where her counterparts are in other cities. If you are somebody who's interested in the future of our young people, find a group. Lead to Read is a good example that you volunteer with some school kids on, that you read to them. Those are the sorts of things, because you are never stuck somewhere. I was raised by too many people, and my family had too many people who really came up from somewhere to be able to accomplish great things. Yeah. And I think that that's what I would suggest to anybody who's feeling like, man, there is no way to get ahead.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's right.
There is always a way.
Right.
So this show is called Straight from the Heart. And the reason we call it Straight from the Heart, because we want to really be authentic in what we talk about. What's one straight from the heart hope you have for Kansas City over the next 5 years? And how can people listening help make it real?
My straight from the heart hope in Kansas City is that we finally are able to achieve the dream of having a strong, rebuilt Prospect corridor with businesses, with residents nearby, Black residents and Black-owned businesses, but that we're able to connect the dots. We're spending money, and sometimes it's in different spots, but I want to be able to go up and down that street and have it be this great regional Black main street in the way that I think people have been talking about and wanting for years. I think we're not that far away, but that is my kind of big goal. I think Prospect is the center of a renaissance for us. I think it is far enough east that people sometimes like, you trying to gentrify it. I'm like, I know the others too well. They ain't coming to gentrify Prospect. Right. The story is that let's have us have pride in our community. Let's have us lift up long term. And I think we'll get that done.
So I'm going to go off script just real quick before I close. The funny thing that you mentioned Prospect. So Sunday was Palm Sunday. And, I'm a pastor at Terrace Lake. And my sermon, my title was When Jesus Rode Through Prospect.
Oh, that's it. I may find that online or Facebook if that's somewhere.
Yeah, you have to go look at it.
Yeah, that's when Jesus.
So
that's fun.
We want to thank Mayor Quinton. I almost said Mayor, you and
hey, you all right?
But again, we want to thank you.
Thank you
seriously for the work that you do, the beat up that you get, and all that you continue to smile and keep you keep it moving. And that's what it's about. We're not always going to agree on everything, and we don't always understand. But the one thing I can say is if you ask the question, you'll get an answer.
Amen.
And so, you've been listening to Straight from the Heart. And again, I want to thank Mayor Quinton Lucas for coming on. This is a Heartland Black Chamber podcast, and it is sponsored by Kaufman Foundation and AGA Production. So again, if you want to hear more of our podcast, you can find us on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And if you like us, which a lot of you have run up to me and said you like us, share, and make sure that you always speak straight from the heart. Don't let anything stop you.